yet?
We are now.
Okay, we're recording. We're still waiting for, you haven't heard anything about Tony not being here, have you? Oh, he's here, okay. And, oh, here's Tony. Hello, Tony. Welcome. And Penny will be here.
Here.
Okay, perfect.
Could you move down one?
Oh, you bet I can, most definitely.
Then we'll have some room for Penny.
Yeah, it's true. There you go. Okay, we'll wait just another minute or two until they get in. Hey, very cool. Hello, Penny. Welcome. Hmm?
I brought my sweatshirt this time.
Yeah, that's why I wear. I know last time it was already pretty bad, right? Okay. All right. So let's have the meeting come to order at 6:32 p.m. And information out. So we are missing Colin. He has an excused absence tonight, out of town, or I believe. And so are there any additions or corrections to the agenda? Okay. Then I'm going to assume, since there seems to be no objection, that it will be approved by acclamation. All right, let's start with the approval of the minutes. Have you all had a chance to read them, or do I need to give you a few minutes? Anybody need some time to read through them? No? Okay. All right, and no corrections? Nobody had anything to add or change? Okay, then I'm going to assume that both sets of minutes are approved by acclamation. Well, that was easy.
I just have my name is in yellow. I don't know why.
I don't know why. Was it?
I do that to you all the time, Tony.
I think it's because she's afraid she's going to spell it wrong, and she wants to double check it each time.
Actually, you know what? I think it was because I wasn't entirely sure if you had seconded that motion.
So I couldn't remember.
Oh, that was it. Well, I figured you would say so if it was
I thought
not
it was,
you.
so, okay.
All right, very cool. We could probably take that color.
I will
Yeah, take that off. Okay. All right, so it looks like we are going to begin with the surf request for the bunker repair.
I will be Jacob Close for this briefing.
Yeah, he asked me if he needed to be here, and I said, well, that's up to you and Mitch.
Apparently, I will be Jacob Close for this briefing request. Jacob's requesting capital funding to rebuild 2 bunkers in the 18th Green. The 2018 surf plan called for renovation of bunkers in the golf course. Cost estimate allows for the renovation of 2 average-sized bunkers. The bunkers in that location are at their normal lifespan. We have a plan in the reserve study for rebuilding them on a regular basis. They suffer from sand that's contaminated with a lot of other material, drainage, and it's silted up and it's reducing flow. Now, the 18 green bunkers are high on the course list of bunkers requiring renovation. And as you know, the clubhouse retaining wall replacement will be performed in September. I was just going over some of the emails and getting that scheduled. So this additional work on the 18th green will have minimal impact on the golf business. Numerous contractors declined to bid the job, however, given the short duration before the end of the dirt work season of September 30th. So with that constraint, Jacob is asking to proceed with in-house staff and rented equipment. So the request in front of you includes the removal of sand, new drainage pipe and gravel, liner, placement of new bunker sand, and that will be the cost for the labor track and accounted as a capital project, and all has to be completed by September 30th, which is the end of the dirt season. We are requesting the amount that's in the reserve study of $12,300 plus a 10% contingency of $1,230 for a total of $13,530. Allocation from the certain account for the renovation of those 2 bunkers, labor, taxes, material, and equipment.
Very good. Do we have a motion? motion?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. Thank you. So that was Rick and Tony. I think she's got them now. Okay, good. Any discussion on this item? This was one of the items, I checked with Mitch and Jennifer earlier, this was one of the items we anticipated we would be able to get done this year on the SURF list. So the timing is right, since we're going to be doing the retaining wall.
It's perfect timing. And those bunkers are the two worst bunkers on the course. Absolutely atrocious bunkers.
Okay.
Uh,
Have you been in them?
I've had more rocks fly out with my club than I had the balls fly out.
Oh, sorry.
Well,
Okay.
it actually is bittersweet and, you know, I hate to spend the money, but we have to shut down the 18th green to do the retaining wall. It would be really difficult to shut down the 18th green twice to do the retaining wall.
And then the bunkers later.
Bunkers at a later date, so, you know, to me, since they are on a top priority list, it's kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah.
To do it, to get it done. Hopefully,
Okay. Thank you.
Do we expect that this will be a cost savings to us doing it in-house rather than doing it through a contractor outside?
It is.
Jacob said it's a significant cost savings. Not only is it a significant cost savings, but he wouldn't be able to book a contractor until next year or that far out, especially with the dirt work window.
Figure 30% of the cost of a smaller project, a higher percentage of indirect costs. Based on insurance, everything else, we don't have to pay for any of that.
So this isn't something, though, that historically we would, well, let's not say historically, but in the future we would necessarily engage our maintenance staff or turf care staff to do, because that's extra work for them, correct? Not in their
Prefer to
usual
go ahead and
maintenance.
Contract it out,
Yeah, yeah.
given
But
the
yeah.
situation that we're in.
Mhm.
And the timing would have taken down the 18th. It makes sense to do it now.
it's very nice that we can do it now then, because it's going to be the number that we can live with on the surf study, which very often it's a low number compared to what it really costs.
We also have experience in-house of replacing these
Yeah.
previously
Yeah.
in-house, so it's not like it's something that,
It's not rocket science.
They did it in-house on the 14th bunker, right side of the 14th green. They did that in-house.
Okay, good. All right,
Call the
any other?
question.
Okay, the question's been called without objection. Those in favor of approving? It is unanimous. Thank you.
Madam Treasurer, for the balance of the information that staff provided, I
Mhm.
would like to have the meeting all come from Jeff.
I would second that. That's a great idea. Yes, Jennifer has been working feverishly, and I do mean feverishly, on all aspects of our budget for 2019. And I took a quick look through all of the paperwork here, and it's going to require significant discussion and explanation. Let me just set the stage before we begin that this is our first look at the budget. We aren't making any decisions tonight. We're not voting on anything. This is our chance to ask questions, to start to question what's in it, and to talk to Jennifer as well. And then we're probably going to schedule another meeting next week to give us a week to look at it before we actually delve into it in more depth. But Jennifer is going to go through all the components that she's been exploring and looking at and has put on paper for us.
Great. Well, it is a lot of information. So let me start with giving you an outline of what I'd like to cover. This is the proposed integrated 2019 budget, and it's a draft that's in this package before you. The budget is based on baseline funding to meet the requirements of the reserve study. So baseline funding in a reserve study versus full funding in a reserve study. There's just two different ways to look at how to fund our reserves, our capital assets. And so baseline funding says that at the end of 30 years, you'll have $0 left over. Let's fund everything in the reserve study and just enough to get to like given this information. And so I think that we should start with looking at a shorter time period, and then if we want to move to a full funding, we can do that in future years. The 2019 budget has 4 components. There's SURF and roads, mailboxes, which are not currently funded in our dues, and operations. The entire proposed 2019 budget is based on the premise that the budget will match the existing reserve study, and it also accounts for all of the items that are unfunded in 2018, plus 2019. We've identified major items that don't currently exist in the reserve study. Therefore, the 2018, and additionally, the 2018 reserve study is not compliant with the new Washington Uniform and Interest Ownership Act, WCOA, law, and so a total disclosure statement is going to be required in our information that goes out to the membership saying that we're not compliant. There's not time this year to become compliant, not time to get the reserve study redone, but for 2019, it will be compliant. We've confirmed that we will print one consolidated baseline schedule for surf roads and mailbox, because we have 3 reserve studies, one for each fund, but we can consolidate them for printing in the budget packet out to members, and one for full funding. And that's required, that you have one baseline and one full funding. But we've confirmed with our attorney that we can consolidate them into one schedule instead of having to print 6 schedules. This is a tremendous amount of information that I've handed out to you tonight. I would have preferred it to go in the packet ahead of time, and unfortunately that wasn't possible. So I ask that you allow me to present this information. It is all the information that you asked for. And I don't think you're going to completely be able to digest it at this meeting because of so much information. So I wish to cover the topical points and how we got here and what the information is, and then once explained, we can determine how to proceed.
So, just a point of clarification, should we hold our questions till you get through the whole thing, or what do you suggest as far as the interaction going through this process?
So I've got a few break points within the presentation. So I'd like to present and then have you ask questions, and then we'll move to the next topic.
Great.
Okay. All right. So the pages are numbered in your handout. On the first page, we have the dues proposal. Last time, as I said, this is on the premise that the reserve study is fully funded. So because there's such a backlog, there's a significant dues increase in order to fully fund the reserve study. We have the developed lots listed above, and then the undeveloped lots below the proposed rates. We have the 2018 rates and then the 2019 rates. It was also asked, what should we use as a collection percentage for next year, and what are the historical collection percentages? So I prepared 2019 projections for 93% collections, 92% collections, 91% collections, and 90% collections. In the case of the developed lots, in all cases, we are not doubling the dues. We're less than doubling the dues, though it is a significant increase. 87% at 93% collections, and 93% at 90% collections. And in the case of the developed lots, the dues go up, they double. Now, there is the methodology I use to split the dues between the developed lot owners and the undeveloped lot owners needs to be reviewed by the attorney to ensure that it's compliant. If the attorney says that we need to go a different route, it may result in higher dues to the undeveloped lots and slightly lower dues to the developed lots than what's presented here. But I just need to touch base with the attorney and confirm that this is a reasonable allocation method between them. It does keep the allocation, the percentage change between what the developed lot owners and the undeveloped lot owners approximately the same as what it is now. It's about a 20% difference between the two. Now, for discussing what the collections rate should be, on page 2, I have a historical schedule of dues with the actual collection rates. So in 2012, our collection rates were 93.3%. In 2013, after they fired the collection specialist, the dues collections rate started to drop to 90%, and then an all-time low in 2014 of 85%. Once the collection specialist was rehired, the collections started to slowly increase. As you can see that in 2018, we're now at 96.6%. We ended 2017 at 96.9%. So I just think that needs to be taken into consideration when the finance committee discusses what the collections rate should be for next year and what rate we should use. I think, I don't know how much collections would drop if you raise the dues so much. I don't know how many people won't pay, but I wouldn't imagine it would be more than 4 or 5%. So that's just a gut feeling. There's nothing more than I have to base that on. And then I would assume that the next year they would pick up again, once people have digested that sticker shock. So do you have any questions at this point? Okay.
Page 1, the undeveloped lots under the ops special assessment.
Oh, it says 1079.
Yes.
Oh, that's incorrect. Thank you.
Mhm.
I'll correct that. That'll lower that percentage change as well.
It should be 736. Or
It'll-
what is it? What is?
It'll be
what should-
736 times 103%.
Mhm.
I'll correct that. Thank you. Are there any other questions?
Just a quick question. So you said that even though we've had the percentages that we've had over the years between developed and undeveloped lot, dues differences, that you need to consult with our attorney to see if it's still, so there's Washington state law that dictates that, or? I'm just curious.
So, when the developed versus undeveloped lots were put into place, it was challenged and taken to court. And so there are two court cases that go into depth about the methodology that's behind having a developed lot and an undeveloped lot. Now, my interpretation is that, and I'm not an attorney, which is why I want to check with the attorney. My interpretation is that you have to take the portion of expenses that belongs to the developed lot owners, and you have to split it among them. And that's the portion that they pay plus the amounts that's equal between developed lot and undeveloped lots. But most of that is for things that aren't in the bylaws, such as the rec center, and that's already broken out. And so I don't think, but I think that the intent is to have the undeveloped lot owners pay less than developed lot owners. And when I look at what's left to split between them, it leaves the developed lot owners paying almost as much, or in some cases just a little bit more than the developed lot owners, and that's not the intent. So I think that the intent is to kind of keep that ratio the same. So I just want to discuss it with the attorney and see if he agrees.
Is that a policy? What was, I guess what I'm asking is the split between the lots, the developed lots and the undeveloped lots. Is that a policy that was created? Was that a law? I think it was a policy ratio.
Cooper came up in the little battle that they had with, well, you were there. I remember the conversation as told. Do you want to?
The lawsuits happened during the 90s, and it was determined by an attorney, by a judge, that it is legal to have 2 tiers of dues. It's equitable, even though it isn't equal. So there was no determination of how it should be split. Back in 2001 or 2, I believe, was the first time that the dues were apportioned between developed and undeveloped. And just by simple agreement of the people who were discussing it and the board vote, it was decided that there are certain basic things that both sets of owners are interested in. All of the capital
furtherance to that is, should the staff make a recommendation to the board as to what items of expense should be go to develop versus undeveloped, or?
I think at
I
this
think
point,
it's a good
let's,
time for a review, especially since we've gone through the recreation.
it may be, but let's have Jennifer chat with Rich first and see, and open it up for him to say, is it time for us to reevaluate it and take it to the board for a restructuring if necessary, you know, to make it equitable, or, but not equal. Okay.
I have questions on your preliminary page. When you mentioned something, you have 4 components, mailboxes as being one of them. I was surprised to see mailboxes broken out because I was under the impression that that was underserved.
No, the mailboxes are actually funded under their own fund. It has about $5,000 in the bank account. And there was a-
Historically, but when we did the mailboxes,
Mhm.
if that was supposed to have been completed, the mailbox fund was supposed to go away, and the mailboxes were supposed to become part of CERF. That was what was supposed to happen at the time that we did the mailboxes. And the only reason that the mailbox fund stayed open was because we had people who hadn't paid yet, and were delinquent in dues, and that was left open for there. So I don't understand why the mailbox is separate.
To be compliant, and what Jennifer covered earlier is that our reserve study is not compliant to the new law. And we have to publish what each member's assessment and value is to the association. So rather than try to convert or move funds, we're going with the reserve study we have, and that right now shows that it's a separate reserve. We could do all kinds of things, but right now, we're going with what we legally have and that we're going to publish. So it's just.
So
the
next
world
year,
we live in.
maybe. Perhaps next year we could do that.
You guys
That-
want to move the
Yeah.
mailboxes into CERT, mailboxes into CERT.
Mhm.
That's not to say that people still don't owe money on, because there were a lot of settled accounts. And so they're still debt against CERT. But we can move that against CERT. Okay. Let's move on.
Okay.
Anything else on that page? You said you were had several questions.
Yeah, I don't understand what the distinction is in the new law. That says that we're not going to be compliant. I don't understand that.
The reserve study that we have was prepared before the new law was put into effect, and it is not totally compliant. It has certain tables that we don't have, and we're not going to update our reserve study. We can't update a
very specific disclosure, and there's a very similar disclosure in the reserve study. However, the law says you must use this exact language, and it doesn't use the exact language that's in here. However, all of the funding that's in there and the schedule is outside of not including the deficit or surplus expressed on a per unit basis is all accurate in the reserve study. That wasn't ever required before. Okay, so on page 3, to continue discussions on the reserve study, there are several items that are not included in our 2018 reserve study. The WCOA law also requires that you include all assets that are greater than, is it 2% of the budget? That are included in the reserve study, or if they're not included, then it's stated that they're not included. So we'll have to make a statement in the paperwork that goes out to the membership saying that these assets are not included in the reserve study and that they're going to be added to the 2019 reserve study. So there are a number of roads items. As you can see, we've got roads, SURF, and then the mailbox. And so there are several roads items not included, retaining walls, and then a lot of paving, the removal of the Barn 7 foundation and the Rotunda foundation, and paving the parking lots. And those items are included in the Wilson plan that we have presented before you. There are a few items that aren't included in the Wilson plan that we'll also want to integrate, and those are listed down below. The upper parking lot at the clubhouse, retaining walls throughout the association, such as that at the adult center, paving at Area Z, parking bays and keyways, and the campground entrance road work, which was in the SURF plan and should be in the roads plan. In SURF, we have some items that are included, such as the replacement of the entire maintenance building. We have incremental items of the building's infrastructure included, but really the building is at its end of life, and we should put in a replacement for the whole building and then the components further on. Dredging at the marina, that's very expensive, needs to be added to the reserve study. Marina interior stabilization, a full interior model of the clubhouse, area-wide, the campground, the airport. We want to double the RV parking storage area, and then we're going to need new golf carts, so they're going to be electric. We'll have to have some way to store them and charge them. And then for the mailbox, which could be integrated in 2019 into SURF, if that's what we want to do, be signage, solar lights, and additional parcel delivery boxes. Are there any questions there? So on the next 6 pages is what you asked for regarding to get a SURF 10-year plan similar to that of the roads plan. So there are a lot of SURF items, so it's long. I have, at the top, we've got our revenues, the January 1st carryover, expected SURF collections. All the projections in here are at 93% collections, just so you know. And then our expected loan payments and income, the board recommended carryover balance, and then what our open projects are for 2018. I grouped the SURF assets by like items, just to kind of give a little more granularity because there are so many items. So I grouped them into 3 categories: facilities, recreation, and then equipment. So the facilities, you can see the facilities items all listed out, and then the subtotal on page 5. And the recreation facilities and equipment, and then the rest of the system and equipment components throughout the association. In this schedule, the differences from the reserve study, you can see it in the column M for Mary. There are notes, it says note 5, note 4, note 3, and so that's where I made changes to what was in the reserve study as it's published, which include removals, because those items should be funded by the roads capital account, parking lots, and retaining walls. assets that were disposed of and aren't going to be replaced. So I took those out, and then
These are listed on page 9, right? At the bottom of page 9.
Correct, at the bottom, the
Mhm.
notes. And then the assets that should be funded by UDR, such as the area decontamination or operations, trail, general trail maintenance. And then all the items that were unfunded in 2018, I moved into 2019 to account for them, because that's what the 2019 reserve study is going to show. It's going to push all those items into the next year. That's why we've had such a big deficit every year when we planned, because all the items that were unfunded the prior year get pushed into the next year. So this plan, at 93% collections, is at $45.80 a month, and that will fully fund the reserve study for SURF for 2019. You can see on page 8, you've got the grand total 2018 adjusted reserve study projects. And then in column P, you see your intended year-end carryover on row 295 of $600,000, and the expected residual at year-end of $562.
Mhm.
Please note the $7 million at 2027. People could say that that is a lot of money. Then you have to remind them, or we should be aware, of the items that Jennifer covered on page 3, which are significant. This building alone was estimated at $5 million. So if you're looking at a $7 million carryover in 2027, but we have not yet
Where are
put
we?
in all of the SURF items.
That would be
Page 8.
X.
Oh, 7,
96.
okay, expected residual at year end, 77.3
Dredging,
million.
replacement of the maintenance building, replacement of Barn 8, remodel of the clubhouse, interior stabilization of the arena, and on golf carts.
So those aren't in
In
here?
here.
No,
No, they're not.
They're not
See,
in
we're using the reserve study we have.
Got
And
it.
those are not in here. They have to tie.
Got it. And then, did you tell me, I think I missed, the stuff that's highlighted in yellow has some significance?
Yes, so there were a couple of items that we updated the costs on for the managers when we presented the 2018 budget. And so I highlighted them yellow to show that I updated the cost and the reserves in this plan as well to
so
account for that.
it's not identical to what's in the reserves then?
Correct.
Okay,
Correct, and that's why I put the notes in to show where the differences are.
okay.
And then for example, on page 4, we moved the clubhouse HVAC. It was scheduled to be replaced in 2022, but it needs to be replaced this year. So I put a 0 in 2022 and moved it into 2018. And you can see on page 8, on the last 2 rows, you have the top that says the 2018 reserve study plan project totals. That's out of the reserve study. And then the difference between what's adjusted here and what was in the reserve study. So there was $891,000 not funded in 2018. And then the 2019 dues projection has an overage of $824,000 plus the $32,000 that's left to transfer over to the next year, funds 2019.
So now the time to ask questions, we're at a point, it seems like.
Mm-hmm.
So, you mentioned $45 amount. So where do I see that in this?
Well, that's not a $45
Not-
increase.
It's total.
Total,
Total.
yeah.
So I see that in a note on line 6 of page
Yep.
8.
Mm-hmm.
45.
So was that for just for 1 year, but as you carry this out, does it change year to year? Or?
I left the 4580 in for every year. I did not increase it thereafter because I don't know what the items that are included in the reserve study. I don't know what that's going to do to it in the future. So I don't know what those future dues will hold. But what I do know is that there's at the 4580 a month. There's a $7.3 million residual at the end of 2027. And I know that there's more than $7 million worth of work that needs to get added into the reserve study over the next 10 years. So chances are that next year when we look at this and we have the updated reserve
document in this election? No. Because this reserve study will go forward this way. We haven't added those in, we've taken some
So
out.
we'll wait till next year to do it.
That's correct.
And I think that's wise. And one of the concerns I have is that we have a reserve study and it has numbers in it and it's posted online, everybody can see it, and if we make too many changes to it, then they're gonna say, well, you didn't use the reserve study, so where are the numbers coming from?
I don't
Yeah.
disagree, I just think it's, it's kind of like the elephant in the room,
Mhm.
that piece is a really big piece.
It is.
That somehow needs to be explained so it's comprehended by the people that are looking
Right.
at stuff.
I agree.
And right now, I don't know what it's there, and I'm not sure how to get there.
Well, I think it's part of the non-compliant component that we're gonna put in as well. So all of these things are part of not being compliant in the reserve study. The reserve study's not compliant, because we didn't add these things in, and all of the tables that we need and so forth aren't. So, but our attorney says, your first year out, you're doing the best you can, we're gonna live with what it is, but
I
I
just see
think.
a challenge there is how to communicate that effectively,
Yeah.
is all I'm saying.
Mhm.
I think that's one of
Paul is working on it.
All of it.
So, a question, for example, on, you have barn 8 out here. We know we're not going to do anything on barn 8, but it's in here just because it's a reserve study for 2018. That's going to be taken out in 2019, right?
No, no.
Because these things, okay, go ahead.
What will be taken out are the incrementals like the site. That's what's in 18.
Yes,
We'll
those-
take that
those
out
components.
and we'll put in replace barn 8.
Okay.
And so you'll see on the maintenance building, there's updates in the future for plumbing, for electrical. We'll remove all those and we'll put in replace the maintenance building, one line.
So that, to me, it needs to be clarified to membership that that's what we're going to be doing. It's not double dipping. We're going to be paying for barn 8 on these items, and then we're going to replace barn 8 in the future. To me, it's a little bit confusing.
Yeah, but it's our reserve study the way it is
I
today.
know,
I agree,
I
we
know.
have,
But
that's
because
a
you're
tough.
putting these non-compliant new items in for 2019, it's just a little bit confusing, possibly for the membership, not knowing what we're doing with barn 8.
So Tony, let me ask you a question. We were involved in a conversation about how would we use CERF money to affect some of the changes. We said, well, we're going to have to go at it incrementally, pieces at a time. But now with this new law, we could say, you know what? Don't go pieces at a time. The building is garbage. Replace the whole building. So should we say, make a statement in the documentation that goes to the membership that, to that effect, in short words, but 2 lines?
If that's our intention, I would want to know that up front. That's what
Okay.
our goal is to replace barn 8.
Well, and I think that's on page 3 where it says the items not included in the reserve study. It says replacement of barn 8 is not included. And you could be more descriptive, put a
Yeah.
year in there. But it does say that the incremental items in the building's infrastructure are included. And it is required that we disclose to the membership what is not included. That'll be part of what goes out
I
to
think
them.
it's more than a 2-sentence statement.
Yeah.
Tony and I are in complete agreement here, is that I think it's critical that the membership understand that because of the law, we're required to put this document forward, but at the same time, also because of the law, we're taking, the board and the community is taking a different stance going forward, which is a more holistic approach to what is the smart plan to spend our funds and keep our assets in an equitable fashion going forward.
I
So,
think this is the part where the board is saying to finance, would you like to take out all the incremental funded stuff and say, replace the building on that year? That's what they ask. And so that's exactly the input that the board asked from finance. Not tell us what year you want to do. Hey, we're finance. Take it all out, replace the building. So we can identify all that.
But what you're saying, I think, 'cause I'm on the same page, because I thought resource our funds long-term instead of how do we run behind and fix
Piecemeal
things.
it.
Yeah, how do we run behind and fix things all of the time? How can we be better benefactors of our money and our long-range planning and our strategic plan moving forward,
But
right?
we are far more enabled and positioned to do that today
Yes.
than in past years.
Exactly.
Now, how to say that, that is not a subject for tonight,
No.
but that it needs to be said.
That's a big
We
piece for
agree with.
where
Yeah.
we're going forward.
We absolutely
That's all
agree.
we're saying.
That's a
I think that's
conversation.
what your point was.
Yeah,
that, yeah.
absolutely.
And I would recommend bring some wording back that you think is going to be appropriate for our next meeting, because I think they could definitely use some insight as to what will help people understand.
We've put down on paper what you've asked for. Now, how would you like it explained?
The problem we have many times in this community is we put a bunch of data out and it's not understood well. I mean, the people that come to the meetings, the AGMs and the town halls and stuff understand things, and even sometimes they have a difficult time. But the community as a whole that doesn't participate in that communication event really is challenged to understand those things. So
Well, I don't think it's
we
about,
need to figure
yeah.
out
I don't
and
think it's
make-
just about sharing data. I think it's telling the story.
Yes,
and
that's,
it's more of
that's what
the-
I'm saying, there's a
yeah.
lot of data here, just as Jennifer spoke of
Mhm.
early on, is there's a bunch of data, you guys are gonna have a rough time understanding that. Well, if we have a rough time understanding it, if we publish this, I guarantee you there's a lot of people who know what
Oh, yeah,
we're saying.
yeah.
So, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah. And I think that Jennifer's bringing you this for your background
Absolutely,
information.
absolutely.
And then from this, let's whittle
We
it
need to come
down
up
to
with
the
a
right
story.
story that tells the tale.
This all won't be in there.
No. This would be well over, it would be well overwhelming, yeah.
This we agree. But what is the question that you asked 2 meetings back? What are you gonna base that on? Here you have it. That's what it's based on. And it won't change and go down each year and go up each year based on the residual. We're going in for the first year because we can guarantee that next year's reserve study will be compliantly reflective of a holistic approach to the best use of our money. And will probably reflect a 0, which is baseline, not goal.
So the dues that is reflected, the dues increase that's reflected in this draft will be different in 2009. There'll be additional dues requirements in 2019 because of the additions that we are putting on.
Not necessarily. We don't know yet. Depends on how much this other stuff that's not included comes to. Because I think, as Mitch said, we have a residual at the end of the 9 years of $7.3 million. Will that cover all of these items? We don't know yet. But it's not going to be, I wouldn't think, as significant as, yeah, as what this recommendation is for this year. But we don't know.
Can she continue? Or, okay.
Okay, so the next page is
Is that 10?
to page 10, yes.
Okay.
And I just want to say, I love this format. This is great. It's so much easier to see. Thank you. I know that was a lot of work, so thank you.
You're welcome. So a lot of lines. I left the road numbers on there so it'd be easier to discuss where the items are at.
Thank you.
There's 6 pages.
Yes, that would be impossible. Oh, about halfway down the page. Small.
Okay, so page 10 is the roads plan. This is slightly different than what you've seen before and what was taken to the board. The previous year's carryover holdback in 2018, in the previous versions you saw, was included both in the carryover and then added again
$500,000.
$500,000. However, in looking at what we can do this year, and what we can't fund this year. That pushes all of our culvert projects down on, halfway down page 10 and on page 11 out 1 year. The design is done in 1 year to get the permitting and the design done, and then the construction in year 2. And we won't be able to actually fund 2018's design this year. And then I also pushed out some of the road maintenance up above, and you can see that there's the years scheduled as adjusted if applicable. I put those in red, and then the Wilson year as it was before. So you can see, like, for example, remove barn 7 foundation they had in 2018, and I put it in 2019.
And
And
they
that-
were okay with this? They
haven't seen this yet.
Oh, they haven't seen it, okay.
No,
This is going to be our,
this is what we can afford.
yeah.
So if we make these changes, this is what we can afford at the $47 a month.
We may have to go in and do some additional investigation on some of the culverts. I will share with you that at this moment, the road work for micro sealing this year is in question. We had one contractor that responded to the bid, and he gave us back his bid, which we were going to accept. However, he then modified the bid documents, which included the contract, after the bid, and sent them to us and said, these are the changes I want in the contract.
More money?
No, he wanted to
Oh.
remove controls in our contract, and we basically are saying, pound sand,
Mhm.
no, this is what you bid on, and if you wish to change the contract, we'll cancel.
Okay.
He
So-
wants us to waive all liquidated damages and assume loss and assume risk, and we said no.
Okay, good.
So if we cancel that work, we can rebid it right now, but we can rebid the work for 2019 and put the 2019 work on.
Mm.
But right now, we're waiting for the contractor to decide if he wishes to accept.
Does this need to be done by the end of September?
Yes, it does,
Okay.
because rain can destroy.
So what's your chances of finding another contractor since you,
happen this year.
yeah, I was afraid, yeah. Got it.
We would rebid it for next year.
Okay. Got it. Okay.
Can you walk me slower than what you said before we all, because I couldn't follow it here.
Sure, so
You know, longer, there's no line.
there aren't any lights. I'll do that for next time for roads. So along the top in the blue, you've got cost estimate year, condition rating, CIP number, and then it says year scheduled, and I added in as adjusted if applicable. And then there's a new column, Wilson year scheduled if adjusted. So if you go down anywhere that there's a number in the Wilson year schedule if adjusted, that was that's the plan, the year in Wilson's plan as it stands. And if you move back into the year scheduled column, you can see that it got pushed out 1 year. So for example, the first item adjusted is remove the barn 7 foundation from 2018 to 2019. And then any changes in the years also account for escalation. So up 3%. Okay. And then we were planning on moving $868,000 to fund a bridge. Polo Park Bridge.
No, Western.
Oh,
I think it's Western Avenue.
Western Avenue Bridge.
Mhm.
We were planning on doing that originally in 2023. Well, that project in this plan got moved 1 year to 2024. However, in 2021, there is a lot of work that needs to be done. And so I took part of those funds that we were going to transfer in 2024 and moved it into 2021. So the same amount of funds are being transferred from the Capital Reserve Holding Fund, just split over 2 years. And we will have $268,000 in that fund by 2021. I don't see why we wouldn't. We already have $200,000 in there. So if we don't spend anything else out of there, I think that that's an accurate projection. This does still include a potential roads loan. And so I wanted to keep the dues at the $47 a month that was previously discussed. And so these changes allow that to occur, and you can see the expected residuals at year end on page 11. So for 2019, it'd be fully funded, and you'd have a residual of $281,000, and then in 2020, 102,577, and then in 2021, that's the year with the $2 million in expenses, you'd be left with $136.
That's going
Cutting it
close.
And that's at 93% collections, at $47. Any other questions here?
So this is pretty consistently between $136 and about $800, under $1 million in reserves each year, but it goes up and down
Well, and then
with the same dues
the
amount
same dues
over
amount,
the
and then there
9-year
are a
period.
few things not included,
Mhm.
such as the upper parking lot of the clubhouse, retaining walls, paving on page 3, the parking bays and quayways, and then any campground entrance road work that we want to do. So I don't know when those projects would go in or how they'll affect the schedule, but Wilson should be able to integrate those items for us next year, and we'll put them into the reserve study as well.
Just so you know, I don't pass the eye test on these numbers.
Didn't you bring your magnifying glass?
I forgot, I'm sorry. So I'm listening intently, but I
Yeah.
can't see a thing.
Well, I mean, you could print it on 4 pages, I guess.
Okay,
Okay, so
welcome back.
the next topic of conversation is the 2019 operations budget. I thought that we would review it by department, and so I was going to just take out these couple of pages that are the assumptions so I can talk through it as we go along. So I've got a number of assumptions, starting with the inflation estimates. We've got property and real estate taxes. We think they're going to go up 3%. Sudden Valley, spoke with the assessor. Sudden Valley is not up for reassessment in 2019, so 3% is a reasonable estimate, even if you live in the county and your property taxes.
Mhm. And they did.
Insurance, we anticipate a 9% increase in property insurance and a 2% increase in all other policies. Utilities, a 3% increase over 2018, plus we'll have a full year running the pool instead of just a partial year. Payroll service fees and vehicle fuel also up 3%. Next, I'd like to talk about salaries, and then we'll go through the other budget assumptions as we talk through the budget on pages 15 to 46. Okay. So page 14 has a salary summary. So at the top, we've got our 2019 FTEs versus our 2018 FTEs, full-time equivalents. And then a difference first in salaries, taxes, and then health insurance. So in 2019, minimum wage will increase from $11.50 an hour to $12 an hour. And in 2020, minimum wage increases to $13.50 an hour. So those are some big changes in salaries that we can anticipate. Salaries have been increased due to this minimum wage law to avoid wage compression and bring employees in line with average market wages for similar positions in Whatcom County. The labor market is very tight, and we've had a hard time this year and last year, especially keeping seasonal people and even some full-time staff. I lost my accounts payable clerk. She said she can't compete. Well, that's a real bummer, and I tried. Nope, can't. So that's just where the market is right now, and we'd like to keep the employees that we have. It's very expensive to retrain employees. It takes a lot of time as well, and you generally have to hire new people at the going rate anyway. So why not pay the people that we have at the market rates? We've added one new admin staff in this proposal. They'll have an IT focus and a front desk support. We are ACC specialist. Jessica,
Jessica, ACC
coordinator. She used to help with the front desk, but ACC has been so busy that that is her full-time job now, ACC coordinator.
Last I reported, we had 22 new starts for construction. All right, well, we have 30.
Additionally, we've added one new maintenance staff to operations to be able to fund, to keep up with the maintenance work that needs to be done in order for our assets to stay maintained. That way the reserve study means something, we're maintaining the assets that we have.
Was this something, as long as we're on maintenance, is this something that we kind of identified through the maintenance software that this, I mean, were you able to see from this that there were additional hours needed?
We will. There, we had, if you remember, we lost our person who was doing all the input to it, Jenny. So now we just retrain someone to do it. They're loading it up, but there's no question it's going to show it. And then you can sort of decide what you would like to do or not do. It will show it.
We've also added in Firewise for 1 month, and that's the entire maintenance and maintenance seasonal crew. So we hire several maintenance seasonal crew members to come in and they do roads work, and that's capital funded. However, we'd like to do Firewise for a month, and that takes all of our seasonal staff as well, and that's operations. So I included that cost in operations. As well as accounting for the summer events that maintenance does for setup, takedown, cleanup, such as the 4th of July in the Vitus Sudden Valley. Our maintenance crew currently does that, and that doesn't get billed to operation or to capital, that's operations. And currently that's not included in the budget, so you'll see an overage in our 2018 numbers in maintenance salaries because they've spent that additional time to assist at these events. So I wanted to account for it. It's what we planned. We added a 3rd-time additional rec staff member for the summer to assist with keeping the rec facilities clean while the pool is open. And 1 more month of lifeguards because the pools are going to be open longer next year. There's no anticipated changes in tax rates from 2018 to 2019, but there is a 15% anticipated increase in health insurance costs. Any questions on salaries?
This is all proposed. You can cut it anywhere you want.
1 more month of lifeguards is just because we were supposed to open July 15th, so we go.
We want to open July and June 1.
What was the situation? I know they weren't working in the pool, but they were working here.
Starting July 15th, they were.
Okay.
We've never had, we brought them in and began paying them because then you don't have,
Otherwise they go away. Yeah.
they would go away.
Okay.
And to retain employees now, especially at that wage group, they get bonuses if they stay for the season.
So it just looks like the two biggies we got, one in admin, and additional,
Maintenance.
almost 2 in maintenance.
And so it's 1 additional maintenance crew member plus the Firewise, month of Firewise, and the events hours, and then any holidays or time off or sick time that our employees have over the summer. That's not capital either. That's roads work. So, or excuse me, that's
Ops.
operations.
It is.
Not
But it
roads.
always has been.
Yes, it always has been, but it wasn't budgeted that way in 2018. So let's say.
But I mean, we still did it last year.
We did, and we were over in our maintenance salaries last year. And we're going to be over in our maintenance salaries this year. It should have been included in the budget, and it wasn't.
Now, we went ahead, we made more money, so we covered it. But we think that it's appropriate to go ahead and budget for it.
Oversight in the last couple of years,
It was.
it should have been budgeted, and it wasn't, so we went over, so I planning to get on track.
Correct.
There's one other person in admin, and that's because Jessica's busy.
Jessica is no longer an admin. Jessica went through a formal outside review on her job to she doesn't meet the requirements for exempt.
But a lot of the tasks that she does in ACC are associated with new construction stuff.
Almost all of it, also all of our permits, so she's now our person for permitting issues.
And all those fees go into a different fund rather than operations, is that not correct?
She's paid for almost completely right now.
I know, and that's what I'm getting at, is the work that she's doing and the cost that we're getting funded for to do that work
It's
doesn't
really
actually.
the same account. The new home construction fees is operational income.
It is,
It is.
it just doesn't, okay.
The stormwater plan, the $500 for the stormwater plan is not.
Okay.
But the $3,500 new home construction fee and the corresponding expense of $2,750 per home is operational.
We're so busy on new construction, we're out looking for a new contract, a second contractor.
Wow.
Someone gave me your name today, and I said no. He would say no. I said no for you, but we're looking for a second contractor. Our first contractor is too busy, he's drowning, and he's asked to shed half his load.
Yeah, I told Mr. Gordon, I would apply for part-time job.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be part-time, that's the problem. During the summer, it would be full.
Right now, it's more than a full-time job.
Okay, I'm just trying to find out where those funds went and where the expenses went to see if they tied
It's
together.
counted as revenue.
It's all operational, just in a little different buckets. Okay,
Right.
got it.
Okay, so starting on page 15. So I tried to highlight the major changes in budget assumptions, things that usually get discussed each year, as well as any major changes, in addition to inflation. So in the common cost department, these are expenses that affect the whole association. So it's not a whole lot that's in here. It's kind of the umbrella department. You've got the views, property and real estate tax, and you have some regulatory compliance, $5,000 for plantings. This is the same as what's in the 2018 spending plan. And then we have our insurance and legal services.
And then you've got the property real estate tax that you think is going to go up 3.
Correct. I think it'll go up 3%. I did 3% over the actuals, which is a little bit more than 3% over the budget. Yes.
I was just looking at the dues and assessment. Is that right? 2019, or is that reversed? 2019 budget?
Oh gosh, it is reversed.
What is this you're
Thanks,
talking
I'll
about?
fix that. The net is correct.
Oh.
I saw that 1,822% change.
Yeah. Yeah.
I apologize. This is hot off the press. The net is correct.
It reversed. This is 141, 2.1. You know, this line here.
And then on page 16, we have the views. The net of the views is not expected to change, but we think postage will go down a little bit. We've had some mailing efficiencies thanks to Eric and the communications committee. And then the printing, we print more issues now, so more people get it. So printing costs will be anticipated to go up a little bit, but we think the net will be the same. We have our insurance premiums. We think our legal and professional services will be the same for $50,000, and that's common cost. Coming into the accounting department, there aren't a lot of changes. I increased our title and recording fees by $1,000. We are because of so many home sales. This is where the $125 goes whenever someone buys a new home. The fee is 1/4 of 1% of the gross sales price plus $125. That $125 goes into GL code 4240. We have, or I think our bank charges and fees will be about the same. We've got printing and copying. That's for the coupons that go out to our members. Payroll payroll service fees, we anticipate them to go up 3% plus additional service fees for we have a whole new department, so the rec department. We have our audit and tax services, I think will be about $28,000. We have to put that out to bid this year.
Mhm.
And then postage to pay for sending out the coupons, salaries, and then IT and support services. I'd like to budget to have some assistance, seasonal help for the additional workload during the budget season. So I've included $16,500 under other professional services. Every year except this year, we've had a seasonal person come in, and this year we would really appreciate a seasonal person. However, due to staff changes in my department, we don't have the capacity. Then moving on to facilities, I have no changes in the Area Z rates. I asked Gil the last time they changed, and he says he can't remember. He's been here for some 20 years.
So we have not well, it looks pretty, let's just say it may not warrant an increase at the moment, let's say that.
Let's see.
Historically, it's
Yeah, but you know, we've never taken any of the funding from it and done anything to make it look better, so, okay.
We have our lease income for our current leases, permits and licenses, regulatory compliance, salaries under facilities. On page 20, we have our utilities. Utilities for the whole organization are included here outside of rec and golf. So we anticipate a 3% increase in utilities. Plus, if we add recycling and trash services to Sudden Valley, currently we only do some recycling over in the pro shop, and the rest there's no recycling. We'd like to add recycling. I estimate that would be about $6,500.
What is that? What do you mean, add recycling? What's that?
Add recycling service to the association.
We don't recycle.
Nope, it all goes in the garbage.
We have never recycled. Wait a minute, that was focused. That was,
That's what I do for a living.
Let's see, our building repairs and maintenance includes our contracts to upkeep the facilities, including the elevator contract, pest control, and air and heating.
So these are contractors, the building R&M, is that correct?
Yeah, some is contractors for upkeep of the building, and then there's about $22,000 in there for maintenance, other outside services.
Okay, but they're all outside services.
They are outside
Okay.
services, but it's part of building, it's to repair the building, so it's
Got it.
reported there. Then we have our janitorial supplies. We estimate the same as 2018's budget. There's a 3% increase in fuel. And then on page 21, we've added in $2,000 to update our building CAD drawings every year. Let's see, for the golf budget, outside of salaries, which we discussed previously, in utilities, it's fairly consistent with the 2018 spending plan. That's on pages 22, 23, and 24.
It's not a huge dollar number, but is there a reason the office supplies are doubling?
Due to historical trends, so year to date in 2018, we spent $573, and we're projected at $723, and in 2017 is $1,113. Well, pays for all their own office supplies, so I just think based on historical trends, it's going to be $600 instead of $300, if that's a more accurate projection.
Now, let me look at, let's look at 5210, printing and copying. I know this is a small amount, but I just want to know this, the rationale. We're projected to be at 839, and the budget was 2980. Are we projecting that because of the AGM coming up? Is that where that money? It's $2,980. I mean, we're 2,000 off of that now, and we're more than half. Huh? Oh, this is golf. Oh, yeah, there you go. So why over 2,000 more this year?
So it's for golf. Brian explained to me that it's for like golf printing cards and pencils and such. And so some years the costs are higher because you need to order more of those. But then they are saved with inventory.
I know he's
the
been
next
busier.
year.
Okay.
So 2016, you know, so you can see the trend. 2015 was only 300, but 2016 was 2,200. 2017, 16, 27. So while we may be running under this year, that means that in 2019 we're going to have that additional cost to reorder the supplies.
Thank you.
Getting the course re-rated, just so you know.
Re-rated to,
So you get the course rated, it's to, you want to explain that?
is that part of a promotion of it? Some,
No.
a higher
It's
level?
re-rating.
What the stroke, what it is compared to all the other courses in the United States,
Okay.
as to how many strokes, 69 or 69.3
Okay, I
or
see.
69.6, which means all the scorecards that we have
Might have to be rewritten. Okay,
will
republished.
have to be redone.
Okay. Fine. Thank you.
That explains
That
why
ex-
he's doing it 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
So we get it re-rated every other year or every third year,
Okay.
and so the numbers change. So
That makes
On
sense.
the rating of the course, so the scorecards aren't any good.
They added additional T placement last year. That's why they had to review cards.
Changed this year, but
Yeah.
the rating's happening
After
this
the-
fall.
yeah, yeah.
So, anyway, I'm just explaining why that's happening.
Okay.
So starting on page 25, we've got the rec special assessment. So pool, health club, parks. This is a special assessment, so it pays for itself. The $360,774 is at 93% collections at the 2019 rate, and the expenses increased 3% for the Sun Valley Strong budget, down to a net zero at the bottom on page 27. I think next year you'll have some better comparisons since you have a whole year to compare it.
Yeah.
So on page 28, we have the maintenance budget. There aren't a whole lot of changes to this budget either, outside of salaries and fuel.
Can I go back to the pool? Health club thing, and the top of the payroll, on the top of page 26. There's a line that goes away. It says budget estimate, help with that one, 5398.
So that's in every department, and it's really an accounting thing. So every year, at the end of the year, our auditors require us to accrue payroll for the last days of the year into the current year. So all the payroll through December 31st must be recorded in the current year, 2018.
Even though it may not be paid for another 10 days.
Right, even though it might not be paid for another 10 days.
But your tax base will be in this year.
And so the manager said, Jennifer, I look at how much payroll I have left to budget at the end in December, and I make decisions based on how much is left in there, and then you post this adjustment, and I'm over. I said, well, how about I pull that number out for you? I'm going to estimate what that's going to be. And I'm going to pull it out for every department. And I'm going to leave you in your salaries budget at 5,300, what you actually have outside of my end of year accrual.
Smart.
So
Like it.
that's why it's not there. It'll show back up when it gets printed for the managers and we look at the monthly actuals after it's approved. But I didn't want to go through those additional permutations just to present here.
On the maintenance, on the salaries, why is so much more?
So we added in an additional staff member. There are also some pay increases to bring the salaries of our maintenance staff more in line with what the market is paying. And we added in a month of Firewise and then the time for them to do events in operations.
Whereas before, a lot of those would have been charged off to capital.
It was budgeted in capital, charged to operations.
It's just a huge increase.
Mm-hmm. Almost $100,000.
$80,000 to $90,000. So,
So Firewise itself is over $40,000.
The salaries for Firewise. Okay.
not so new.
How much?
Over $40,000.
And then add another maintenance person in there.
So Firewise, help me out here.
So
I guess I'm,
a couple years, well, we have the association, started, stopped, and last several years put out the call to the entire community, cut all your trees, trim all your shrubs, put everything out by the curb. We'll come and get it. It takes the better part of a month for all hands on deck to go do that. And that's all operations.
and we hadn't budgeted for it before, so now we're budgeting for it.
We have budgeted for it. We absorbed it. That's a lot of extra staff for us just to absorb. If the association wants us to do it, we'll do it. If they don't want us to do it, we won't. So we're absorbing it. And so if we make extra money, you don't see the cost. If we don't make extra money, then we're over.
I just think such a significant expense to our budget, that maybe something that we need to effectively communicate somehow.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're doing. We're letting you know. It is an expensive adventure. And people, someone called up today threatening to go on social media, and I said, yeah, okay. Because their stuff's still sitting out there. Oh, check. Well, they didn't call it in. They just put it out there. So, but they haven't gone to Firewise either, so they want us to come and get it. Yeah, people have an expectation that you're going to come and get all the stuff that they're going to put by the curb, or else there'll be a fire.
As long as it's communicated, I don't have a problem with that, as long as it's communicated. That's why I had a question.
It's a good question. Yeah, you're looking at $80,000 between one new person and Firewise.
And I guess that's a big piece of what's happening in our operations budget. So if our operations budget is going up, we need to understand
Why?
why.
And explain why the extra person in maintenance. What kind of challenges have you had?
So the majority of the staff during the entire summer season, from after Firewise, all of them are on vegetation control. So we have one person that maintains our buildings throughout the entire summer, from May, June, July, August, September, into October. That's when vegetation control ends. One person is not enough to do all the work during the week, taking care of our buildings.
And then what will they do the rest of the year?
They're going to be working alongside the rest of the facility staff doing their work.
Okay.
We cut 6 people on October 1. 6 people.
No,
No,
there
we
are
cut
four.
We cut 4
Four
people.
Okay.
seasonal roads workers.
And then they go back to building work.
Okay. Okay.
Thanks for that.
And we put them on Monday, and they are working Monday through Thursday, so that they're charging capital, not operations. Whereas before, when we had them on a 5-day week, we didn't have enough work programmed out for all these people to hit us on Friday. So by working Monday through Thursday, and then they're off, and they're only working on capital. So I only have one person
So 45, 45 approximately?
Can't be that much.
Huh?
Can't have you 45,000 for a maintenance person.
50 and 40, 50 and 40.
Mm-hmm.
After benefits and taxes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's not making that.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, so page 30, we have the marina. There is an increase in the projected revenue based on current rentals in the history, but there is no increase in the rates. So the 2018 spending plan says $101,000, but we've already brought in $107,000 in 2018, and everybody's paid. And there was 116 in 2017, 107 in 2016. So the 107 is just the current year everybody pays. If there's more, then there are some back dues in there. So I actually think we're going to bring in $107,000. So I reflected that.
Oddly enough, our biggest costs right now that are incomes are kayak rounds. We're setting up 4 new kayak stands. They each have 6. They're $100 a year. That's $2,400 just in kayaks. And so we're trying to also entice people to come back and store your boat in dry dock. The wet slips are all full. It's the dry slips and kayaks where we're trying to grow.
Let's see. The only other change in marina is on page 31, GO 6796, $5,000 for materials and supplies to repair dry slips down at the marina.
Repair dry slips?
What's the?
No, dry slips too.
Dry slips.
So we're doing the same thing each year, getting rid of those metal poles. We put down bumpers, spray painted them, and then aligning saying pull in here. And so we want to do the same thing over at the RV area. So they have defined parking and better trim so that we might attract more people, because you're right, not enough has been done over at the RV storage area. And we're trying to do the same at the dry slip.
So it's maintenance, it's not capital.
Maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
And our shoreline permit will be approved shortly, so that we'll be able to add fines into the gravel and be able to start compacting gravel to stop the pothole.
That would be nice.
That's the first time, so our permit is,
Will that be before the
This year.
September?
we're hoping.
Okay, good.
We did our, the shoreline substantial development permit was approved today. I was there at 1:30. They approved that, and then next Saturday they do the other permit for their agency next Wednesday.
You got enough money in there this year for the retail?
No. So you've been sending us comments about buoys. The association has never had a license nor the legal right to put those buoys up at the cove. Someone did, but we don't have an aquatic license and never have. We discovered that. So that they disappeared, they went somewhere else, okay. But it was never legal for us, the association, to be involved in trying to control that waterway. We applied for a new one, and we put it in. And because it's open to the public, we've asked to be excused from paying fees for it. And so we're going through that process right now. We've asked for expanded control all the way up and down, and we backed off from asking for control along the north shore because we're going to want to separate. There's a lot of regulation on those. They're going to want say-so on the public being able to bid on getting a wet slip in front of someone's house along that area. So we took that out. But everywhere else, we've asked for the control and then the exemption from fee. So we can control those. Right now, it's not legal for us to be involved.
Well, what about warnings for the golf course?
Post office,
Guarantee it.
parking, post office parking lot.
People walking in the golf course, put up signs there.
Okay, this is very interesting. Let's get back to our budget. This is, oh, yeah,
I'd like to see something.
yeah.
Be nice.
So noted.
We're,
Yeah, she's,
follow up on it. We've asked for it, and we've asked for the exemption. And if we get it, then we'll put up the markers.
We're almost through with the operations portion, but can we just take a quick 5-minute break?
oh, we could,
We-
yes.
Okay, great.
Okay, so 5 minutes. It's 7:59.
We are,
Okay, it is now 8:03, and we are back in session. So Jennifer, will you continue?
Thank you. We are on page 18, the operations budget.
18?
32.
Oh, 18 and 32, or
Oh.
32 and 46.
Okay, good, okay.
Oh,
Whew.
okay.
I thought, what happened? Did we start from the beginning? All right. 32.
Okay, 32 of 46. Let's see, the operations department, the major changes are to add $1,000 in general and administrative for pre-employment screening expenses. So those are expenses that we have this year and every year. We just didn't have them budgeted anywhere, and that's for like pre-employment drug screenings. Seasonal people are all required to go through that. Office supplies, we've increased $1,000 based on prior year trends. Events, we've increased to $12,500 over the 2018 spending plan. Plus it's plus 2,500. Board support, we've increased to $3,000 based on actuals and projected. Anytime there's an extra board meeting, then those expenses go up. And then IT and support services, we've increased $5,000 based on prior year trends to a total of $30,000. I'd like it noted that with our current IT provider, the total costs are still less than with our prior provider, even at $30,000 a year.
I'm seeing that in 2017 and
Yeah, so
2015.
2017 was the prior provider, $43,234. All right, we have the ACC and Security Department. Next on page 35. There are a couple changes there. We've added in professional security services, which is GL 7097 under CCRs and mandates. We've added one additional guard to swing shift, and then the corresponding additional costs in vehicle repairs and maintenance and fuel. So that's approximately $63,000. That has
So can we talk about adding this guard? Tell me a little bit about the history or the background for that.
we've been asked repeatedly, in fact, Mike D'Angelo today asked Norm for quotes for officers for the rest of the summer, extra ones. I'm not sure what that basis is. Larry asked us for a cost for going back to, we started off with 2 on days when we went to outsource. 2 on days, 2 on swing, 1 on owl. The 1 on owl carried a firearm. And then we cut the firearms out and then went to 1 on days, 1 on swing, and 1 on owl. We are being hit pretty heavily with a continuing stream of vandalism and miscreant behavior at places. We had an event last night with people causing quite the ruckus, demanding to use the pool after it was closed and setting off the alarms. We have people, our weekends are looking like we are downtown. No, it's not true. We're a major beach area now out in the marina. And we've had some tussles, as we reported. We actually had a fist fight between a couple of community members, and one of them just got a fine.
there's a demand.
There's-
a need.
Well, there's always a demand. The question is, does the community want to fund another officer? And then we're always calling in an extra officer for special events. And also weekend, during the Christmas holiday shopping craze of package deliveries, we have extra officers following all of the UPS trucks throughout the community. And we still, while we're doing that, we're not having package stops, but our neighbors to the south of us are being hit very hard. So it's working. Question is,
So it comes to about 60,000, am I correct?
that's one person.
For that one person, for 2 shifts,
63,000, one person.
for 2 shifts, right?
For
One
shift.
shift.
Oh, only one shift.
That's right.
Yeah.
If we want to go back to 2 on days and 2 on swing, it will be more.
So how are you, I'm just curious, is it going to be like a 10 to 4 type thing or something
Yeah.
like that?
Well,
Okay.
I think we put them in as a
Overlap. Okay, all right.
Now, we are scheduled in reserves to be purchasing a new car next year. The older of the 2 cars is now at 130,000 miles. Those are hard miles with just up and down Sudden Valley roads. There's no freeway roads there. So we're scheduled to replace that car. So if we're going to go to another officer, we would do that very early in the year.
Okay.
And then there's the outfitting of it, just to remind everyone.
Yep.
It takes about $5,000 to outfit.
Do you have a general sense of what time of the day that you have the most vandalism?
The spray painting appears to have occurred during the late night owl shift period of time. We have camera footage of the occurrence, so it was during, it was after midnight. But the quality of the cameras in that area are not good enough to have caught anyone. The other vandalism is mostly kids. The spray painting was not a kid. It didn't look like a kid. If it was a kid, it was made bad.
Okay.
The security department and ACC department still includes $20,000 for hazardous tree removal as approved by the membership in 2016.
Oh, that's right.
Their GL 6440 on the next page.
Mm-hmm.
The budget has been increased to $19,000 to account for any costs that come up during the year for lock changes. We had to have all the safes recoded after accounts payable left as a matter of internal control. So any kinds of those expenses that come up, and so the budget that was in 2018 wasn't sufficient. It's just for the contracted amounts, and you can see that the trend indicates that 19,000 is a better estimate. I left the storm response tree removal with the same as is in the 2018 spending plan, and then
Hold on a second. We may include new capital requests next year for different safes, so that we can put digital safes on, because we can change the digital safes combinations much easier than the dials. So we're looking at that because they need to be changed on a basis, and it's expensive to change them.
twist dials, very old, persnickety safe.
The cost of safes have dropped dramatically.
I also added in the $4,900 that the Emergency Preparedness Committee requested, and I created a new GL code for that, so it's easy to track. And that's 9210 on page 37. Okay. In the turf care department, similar to golf, outside of salaries, the increases, well, at least in turf care, are due to anticipated increases in raw material costs.
And they have been significant, haven't they?
They have,
Yeah.
and they're continuing to go up.
And then on pages 40 and 41, page 40 is the UDR department, and these There's nothing budgeted in UDR for 2019, but I wanted to show the historical costs in UDR that were operational in nature. So this is just, so that way the totals year to year tie out for what we spent in operations.
Okay.
And then pages 41 to 46 is an all department summary. So you can look at the whole picture.
Question. Page 41, the beginning of the all department summary. Same problem in the upper right-hand corner there.
1,822, 23%.
Yes, I'll
I would like that in our revenue.
the net figure I would,
Yes.
is correct.
And the 20% increase, just to follow up what you said, is primarily just special assessment.
The
On the
20%,
dues,
the dues, that's just the operational dues outside of the special assessment.
that's outside of the.
Outside of the special assessment. The special assessment is listed below in GO codes 410 and 411. And it has more than a 3% increase anticipated because 2019 as a full year and 2018 is only 7 months.
That makes sense.
I have another question
Okay.
on page 12 and 13, and also page 34. I guess it's where the 34. The 5125 IT support and services going up to 30,000. I know that was explained on page 12 and 13.
It is, it's mainly based on prior year trends and what we're projected to spend this year.
Understood. Would any of that be offset by hiring the one new admin staff with IT focus?
Oh, good question.
That's a good question. We also have now several more computer workstations, and we're expanding our network. So, I don't know.
Okay. Thanks.
Now, in, oh, yeah.
Help me with,
Which page?
from 40, at the top. Help me with the projected 2018 cost of almost $22,000.
Page 4.
5007.
Special general meeting?
A special general meeting. Okay, so year-to-date actual is at 8,100. Why are we going to 21,700 again?
Oh, that's how much is, the whole project is, that's how, these year-to-date actuals are through June 30th, I should note that as well. So that's how much the project was approved for, the 21,680. So that's actually been approved.
The amount has been
The
approved.
amount has been approved.
But it may
And it's-
not be that
well,
amount.
Yeah, so the projected column is kind of goofy. It takes, and I wish I could change it. It takes how much you've spent year to date, and then it adds in the budget for all the remaining periods. So it's taking how much we've spent year to date, and it's adding in the budget in December, which for my capital projects, to balance in my reports, is the full budget of the project. So it's not actually 21,000. So it's
It's
really,
projecting, if I've spent this much by this time, I'm going to spend this much more by
So
the end
it's
of the
not
year.
an actual forecast.
It's projected.
well, it is an actual forecast in that if if department managers have given me accurate monthly projections, then how much you spent to date plus how much you think you're going to spend in July, August, September, October, November, December is an accurate projection. However, if their monthly projections were off, then it's not an accurate projection.
But that's a forecast.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the nature of a forecast, right? I mean,
Yeah.
You're always guessing what you're going to spend, and sometimes it's,
But
you're pretty,
A forecast, in my experience, is generally updated from month to month, and we don't do that.
so, okay, so this projected column, so in this, on this particular line item that I pointed out, we're not anticipating spending $22,000?
No, it would be it's 21,680.34 minus 8,134.
We're actually expecting to spend the balance?
I didn't bring the capital project with me, but we've
Okay.
spent everything we have so far to date through July. And so I can email out what that project is. If
Okay,
it's-
so there are more expenses.
So it's more than just the special general meeting?
No, it's only the special general meeting and the cost of the coupon printing codes. I don't recall the total amount that we've spent. I do know that we've overspent that project by approximately $2,100 because coupons, in my absence, were ordered for the entire association instead of only for those
Without ACH.
without ACH.
Hmm. Yeah, I
So-
got one. I got a whole book.
So that was
You
unfortunate.
know what we call that,
I
Carol?
tried to give it back.
Well, we call that-
Nobody wanted
we
it.
call that scrap paper.
Well, I'm sorry.
But I don't have that total amount and I can
So
send it out.
this was approved in the 2018 budget, the $21,000.
No, this is UDR.
This
This
is
is
in UDR.
So this is stuff that we.
The board approved, the board
The board
approved it.
approved this.
The
To pay for the
projected-
special.
I can't imagine that we're projecting another special general meeting this year.
Right, that's why it's zero.
Mhm. Yeah.
Well, the projected for this year should be.
For 2019.
$8,100 or.
Well, that's,
It doesn't, this doesn't
It doesn't-
include July's expenses.
Right.
It is more than
Understood.
that.
So it would be, you said another 2,100, so around $10,000.
No, it's actually the 21,680 was the projected amount, originally, the approved amount, right?
No.
Oh, it wasn't? Oh, that's projected because of, I got it, okay. We overspent it, I got it. I hear what you're saying. It is confusing. Okay, so,
what that number is.
Well, I think that that's kind
We
of
don't
like
know
the
yet.
UDR, we haven't, I mean, hazardous tree removals, we're not, haven't done another 30.
$13,580 was approved. And we've
Okay.
overspent that by $2,100. In this projected column,
mhm,
the entire budget, $13,580,
mhm.
is in December. Because,
Got it.
and so,
I got
so the projected column says, well, you have 13,580 left in December, plus you've got the 8,100 you spent.
So it's adding it.
So it's adding it
So it's
together.
adding it together.
Got it.
Okay,
And we've overspent that project by approximately $2,100.
so there'll be
It will
about
be-
15, 6 or 7.
Right, we'll be
total.
coming back to finance,
Okay,
Got
discuss
it.
that at a later date.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. Got it. Thank you.
okay.
And then we have the same issue with hazardous tree
So
removal.
the same thing with hazardous.
Same with hazardous tree removal, we've spent everything, that project is closed, it's just the $31,139.50. And it's in there like that so that way when check signers come in to sign, they can see how much money is left to be spent on the project in a report that's not this one.
And they're still coming in with more quotes, more 8+ trees, so you may see another request for more UDR for hazardous
But,
tree
but
removal.
for now, the ones that we've done are done.
It's closed.
Yeah, got it. Okay,
Okay. So,
did you have another question, Eric?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay.
in
Penny?
conclusion,
Okay.
this is the proposed integrated 2019 budget. It is based on the baseline funding to meet the requirements of the reserve study. It has 4 components: SURF, roads, mailboxes, and operations. We have identified the major items that do not exist in our current reserve study to add them into 2019. Our 2018 reserve study is not compliant, and for the reasons that we stated prior, because it doesn't have a very specific wording, it has something similar, and it doesn't have the deficit or surplus required per lot. The reserve study will be updated to be compliant for next year's budgeting process. And we've confirmed that we can print one consolidated schedule for all of the accounts. As I said before, this is a tremendous amount of information. And you're not going to be able to completely digest it at this one meeting, especially as it was a handout. I think I've covered the topical points. This is all the information that you've requested. It's not for us, for staff, to set the dollar amounts for the dues, but it's our responsibility to tell you how to become compliant and to be fully funded. I think it's the board's responsibility to tell us what those numbers should be. And now that everything is explained, I just want to ask you how to proceed.
I think we need to digest. That's the first step, to digest. Would you all agree? Yes. And I'm proposing a meeting next Wednesday for a chance to kind of battle out the numbers.
I have one question. As far as your recommendations, are you recommending, you gave us 4 scenarios on the collections.
Mm.
And my concern is it's going to be the board decision, but I'd like to have your recommendation of what you want to see as far as the collection rate.
I'd like to hold that for a week. We've been talking about what do we think the impact will be to what percentage of the association. And I'd like to have us have some more time to discuss that. Obviously, that conversation's occurred because you see 4 different options here. We do not think it's as dire as may be suggested, but we think that we would like to look at it a little higher, a little longer.
Longer. Mm-hmm. And then
If
break.
that's acceptable.
Yeah, I just, for me, I just have concern about setting it at 93%. I think that's high,
Mm-hmm.
considering the amount that we're going to be going, the anticipated dues increase that we're going to have.
If it goes to this level that's recommended here, or that is put forth in front of
I
us.
want to feel comfortable that we're
Mhm.
close to what we are
Mhm.
looking at, and not have this rosy picture in 3 years from
Right.
now, what the anticipated collection rate will be 3 years or 4 years.
Right. Can you email Colin a PDF of this, please?
And I'll email out the corrected first
Mhm.
page with the operational special assessment correct on the undeveloped lots, so you can see those percentages.
Do you want these posted online or not?
I don't know why we wouldn't, I mean, the only concern I have is this, we have to, if we put that online, this is just one scenario, we have to make sure.
This is all draft.
This is all draft stuff. It's not complete,
That
so.
it's not a draft, that this is not the recommendation, it is not
It's
a
not-
recommendation. I went round and round with this on the last one with people, that
Mhm.
this is not something that we put forward for approval, this is not, I mean, all of those things
This is numbers
really
to
need to
start
be
looking
laid
at.
out to people.
But from a transparency standpoint, I don't want people not to know what's out there and what we're facing.
But we're,
Is it too soon, I
I think
guess?
it's too
to-
soon. I think this is a work in progress right now for me.
Well, it is, because I'm, I feel like I have to really study this, and I'm not prepared to answer questions that might be coming from others. I don't know.
I think we gave you what we believe was the mail that we were to give you.
No, this is what we had asked for. We wanted to know the worst-case scenario. We absolutely did. This
Oh,
is.
we can make it worse.
No. What I meant was, we wanted to know the bottom line of everything, and I think, yes, Paula.
I would, and my feeling on it is, I think in transparency, especially, that it is something that we put forward with all of the contingencies of what we just talked about, that these are not final numbers, that these are a draft. This is going to be available online. The board meetings are published, we do put those up online, and in the interest of transparency, I think it is certainly a challenge, given the way that people tend to interpret things, but if we don't put it out with really good educational information as to the fact that these are not final, that we put ourselves in a position to question for that. Not that we have to answer to it, but I think transparency right now is really important because there's a lot of fear out there. And that the stories that people tell are a lot worse than what the
So
reality
the question
is.
I have is, if we put this out, all I say is we put draft over every single page.
Watermark it.
Watermarked every page.
You watermark every page, and you say that this is in the interest of transparency. This is because we want people to understand what we're doing, and we want people to be educated, and we want people to be part of the process.
Would you help me write that message?
I would.
Okay, thank you. And we can recommend that then to staff, so try to get that out in the next, can we do that in the next 24 hours?
I'm willing to, I mean, and again, that's just my opinion on that one.
No, I know. I don't know. Does anybody have an objection to actually putting it out?
I think 24 hours might be ambitious. I know that this video isn't going to be out in 24 hours.
Well, that's maybe a good idea then, that we just hold off for maybe 48 or so. Or
I think it's
till
important
Monday.
to get the message right. I
Mhm.
think it's important.
Agreed.
I think the messaging and the education is more important than the timing.
I agree.
Okay.
Make sure we have it right.
Yeah.
Okay. I appreciate anyone's input as to how to,
The other thing is that I would say that, writing this is to say that this was, that staff, as Mitch has said several times, staff did this at our request.
yes, we requested this format for us to have
And-
all the numbers we needed in order to start making some,
Right. This was not
Recommendations.
staff coming in and saying,
this is what we want.
beating
Yeah.
our chest and saying, this is what we want,
Mhm.
this is
Yeah.
what we were.
I think
we
that's
asked
really
them
important.
to come forth with, and that now that we have that, so that we know what it looks like as a potential worst case, quotes, we'll have to work it from there.
Mhm.
I'm a little concerned with just putting it out there as is.
Yeah.
Even if there's a quick letter or communication that's a draft. We all had several questions that were not explained by looking at the numbers.
Mhm.
We are more familiar with the details of these budgets over the last periods of time
Mhm.
that we've been involved with. To me, to put those numbers out is like throwing fuel to a fire without a fire extinguisher. I would think it'd be more appropriate. You made some assumptions, some significant changes, so at least summarizing what those items are. Firewise is $40,000, maintenance person would do this, a security person would do this. I mean,
So tell a story
without
again.
listing those 20
Mhm.
things that are all over $5,000 figures, we don't need to pick up the $1,000, $2,000 items, but things that are over 10, 20, 30, $40,000, and just put the numbers, you're going to raise more questions and be spending more time answering questions on stuff because you haven't given a more complete picture rather than educating the community, in my opinion, as to how we built this or why we built it. And that's just my 2 cents.
Well, I will say that last year, was it last year or the year before? I think it was the year before. We put out, we invited the board to this meeting. And the board kind of took over. There were several people who started, well, I want to know about this number and I want to know that. I mean, it was daunting, the amount of, and it was really an opportunity for us to educate, but there was not, there was too much information that was needed to be provided, so it was very tedious and a long process. So I'm not quite sure where we should go. Go ahead, Eric.
Being that this is a draft, and this, a lot of what we're dealing with tonight, it almost feels like a stream of consciousness Twitter feed that you might read from someone that turns out to be completely inaccurate, right? But enough people believe it to make a difference.
Or it might be accurate,
It could
and who knows? Yeah.
That's what I mean, who knows? Now, the fact that it's, these are just our beginning of this conversation.
Mhm.
This isn't even, correct me if I'm wrong, Larry, but this isn't a corporate record yet.
On the contrary.
So any of that,
It's been created by staff, it's been handed out and considered by you guys. It is a corporate record. It must be made available. Timing, background information, such as you
We had our own. We had plenty. So,
So it would seem to me the best that we could do is get it out there along with the video of this meeting, with the draft watermarks and any possible
any possible
explanation.
explanations we can put in at the time. And
Yeah.
what is your usual posting?
But my experience with putting out granular information out of context is that it's always going to be misunderstood. So we have to provide as much context as possible because there's a lot of granular information here.
Well, this is raw data. This
Right.
is, there's
Well, and
no,
the other thing is we didn't, I mean, we went through, we asked the high hard questions that were obvious to us at the moment. It wasn't, we're not into the.
we haven't evaluated all
We
of
haven't had
this.
any chance to
No.
digest this stuff, and
No.
look at the questions that we have.
Mhm.
But if we're going to, if this meeting's going to go out there to the community, then this stuff has to be out there. too.
Okay. All right.
One question, you know, as a past person that's been involved with business stuff, sometimes you give out too much information and people get lost in the details. I'm not saying that you can't, but, you know, sometimes it's more fruitful and educational for people to put somewhat summary level information. So like all the, I mean, like when we put stuff in views, we don't put 20 pages on. I'm wondering.
But we do post the,
I know
we
it's
do
available.
post, yeah, it
I
is
know it's
available online.
but I guess all I'm saying is maybe in front of this, we could put
Mhm.
just the summary level thing so people can focus
I'll try to create something and see if I can,
rather than have
and
30
then I'll run it by
pages of
Paula and Jennifer and Mitch and a few others of you, Eric, you know, Penny. I'll let you all take a look
Just
at
a
it and see
thought.
what you think.
But
Yeah.
to me, something that's
I think it's
valuable to most
irresponsible to
people.
just send it out as it is,
Yes.
because people aren't getting the benefit of the conversation that goes with it, so. I,
Don't know absolutely.
Yes.
And having the entire finance committee, I think, take a look at it and buy off on what that information is. And everybody, I think it's important, probably even to have it come from the finance committee, whatever that statement is, that everybody's looked at it and understood it and can speak to it and.
but we're still evaluating,
We're not there.
way
Right.
evaluating.
Well, no, but this is.
We haven't adopted this, this is just,
Right, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that everybody looks at it and says, these are the high-level things that we discussed in the meeting that we had questions about, and this is without, I mean, the big message is, this isn't approved, this isn't even a recommendation, this is just raw information and how we're processing through it. And we're bringing the community along as we process, so that there's understanding of what's going on, so people aren't creating their own story in a vacuum.
Yeah.
Um,
They will anyway, but that's
They will.
okay. But that's okay, at least we've made the attempt, so. All right, does anybody have any further questions about the information that we've received tonight?
Thank you.
Yeah, this was amazing amount of work, thank you. Beautiful, really beautiful, this is what we needed. All right, are there any other business before?
I
Yes?
have one other thing to
Okay,
say.
yes.
About the budget and about this process is in going through this with the board and any communications, I think we need to go back to the mission statement and say, this budget is prepared in support of the mission statement of the valley. And if we're not doing that, and the board isn't going back to what is the mission statement of this community, you know, you're making stuff up. And so if you want to follow the mission statement, businesses follow the mission statements. And you should be going back and you should be testing your decisions, your strategy, your budgets, your capital improvements. You should be checking them against the mission statement. So I would highly recommend that we start putting that mission statement out there and talking about it and operating in accordance
mission statement from the, this is from the,
I don't know whether I have the original one. I go back to the one that was put forth back in 2004,
6, wasn't it? 2004,
Leslie,
2006.
2005, 2006.
I think that's the one up on Mitch's wall.
Yeah.
So
I think it's a good thing to bring it to our,
It's a rudder. I mean,
yeah.
it's a stake in the ground. It's something with the community. There was a lot of community involvement in that at that point in time. And I think it's a crime to not focus and go in that direction and reference it. And so I think it's up to the board to show that kind of leadership, to say that this is where we're going and this is where we're going.
The finance committee support that.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, we'll use that as our basis for our next meeting. How's that?
Is that on our website, our mission statement?
Probably not.
I'm not sure.
I
I'd
know what
be
it is.
interested in knowing what our mission statement is as a member of the
Penny has
finance
a copy
committee.
of it, but I don't know that I have it myself.
This doesn't look like the one that
I don't think so.
I know. I know that I printed it and handed it out a year ago, but so I can find it.
Oh,
I sure
that
want
would
to
be
know what
great.
it
Would
is.
you?
Hey,
Yeah,
So if we
yeah.
are doing.
So we know what we're
following
following,
our
yeah, okay. Let's,
That's the point.
Ashley, let's add that to our agenda for next week.
Action item.
And yeah, to review our mission statement, how's that?
It would be nice if we had report meetings.
Yeah, oh yeah, it would be part of the packet, yes? Okay.
And if I can't find it quickly enough, Mitch can point it to me.
You can take a picture of it.
And if it's not on our website, that would be a good thing to put on as we go through the process over the next few months.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay.
Jennifer, there is an item on our agenda. I didn't know that we were going to be talking financial statements, or are you just giving us an update on those? Or you weren't aware either? You emailed them out.
I emailed out June's
Mhm.
financial
Mhm.
statements, and I don't have July's prepared yet.
Well, I wonder why. I wonder why.
Priorities there.
Thank you. This was far more important in my mind. So that's
Slacking,
good.
right?
I just have another question. What is the time schedule here that we're marching to?
And I'm going to actually, we're going to chat with Larry about that. We know kind of, but I want to hear what his input is on that. But we have a little bit different schedule than we've had in years past, but it's coming upon us soon. So we need to get our recommendations to the board very quickly.
The earliest date that the board can recommend a budget is right after Labor Day.
And what's the latest?
The end of September, right? 29th?
Off the top of my head, because it's been weeks since I looked at that timeline, it's a good 10, 12 days after that.
Mhm.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah, it's certainly one.
So
Okay.
at the earliest, the 4th or 5th?
Thereabouts, it's right after.
Yeah,
the
right
holiday.
after the holiday, and then within 2 weeks after that, at the latest. So
That's
2 or
my
3
rough
weeks.
recollection.
Yeah, okay, okay. Good, thank you. Do I have any comments from either of you this evening? No? I bet you would like to see a copy of this, a copy of the budget as well, so,
I'm interested to actually take a look at it.
okay.
Move to adjourn?
Okay, we're done. Thank you at 8:42. Thank you, ma'am.